Hey, Susan.
Hey,
So
hey.
this came up recently. Talking to a friend, and they were thinking about making a big move to another city. And that fear of how do I establish myself? How do I make friends? I mean, it's so much harder to
Oh
make
my
friends when
gosh.
you're older. And I thought that was such an interesting topic because between the two of us,
We've moved.
we've moved. I've have been in four different cities. I'm
Yeah.
making my way across Canada, apparently.
We'll end up on the East Coast.
It's just a matter of time. But you have moved
Yeah, we
extensively.
have.
So it is possible to create
It
yourself
is.
a life and
Oh
a
yeah.
home and bonding when you move to a different city and or a different place. And so let's maybe talk about that and give some tips on
Yeah.
how to create a feeling of belonging and home and
Yeah.
maybe new family in the place that you are or
Because it is
family
so
life.
daunting,
It is.
right? It is. If somebody says to you, if you've never moved and there's like an opportunity to move, you're like, ooh, do I really want to do this? Like, I'm comfortable here.
Yeah.
But and I think that's probably one of the things that is hard, right? Especially if you've got your family living nearby. And it's like, hey, I'm going to move away from everything that is familiar, right? We both know what that feels like, to somewhere completely new where you have no landmarks, right? You have no, in French, we say point de repère, like places that you can look at and go, oh, I know where I am in the city,
Yeah.
right? Do you mean if you get lost before sat nav? you know, and I think just geographically, when you move to a new city, I remember when we first moved to Ottawa, oh my goodness, like my Google Maps was on every single day. It's like, how do I get around this city? And yeah, I mean, I think probably similar for you, right? Because we were chatting a bit about it, but I think immediately getting into a routine, right? Trying
And
to give yourself some sort
yeah.
of structure, finding out your basics, your doctor, your dentist, where your grocery bank.
Hairdresser, all those,
Yeah,
yeah, those are first top things for me when I move, so that you feel like you've got
something.
something, you've got a system, you've got a
Yeah.
routine, you've got people to back you up, even if it's like more a support system, like a dentist, you know. Um,
Oh, I've asked those people all sorts of questions sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Because they live there. Those are the people that, I don't know, sometimes I remember going out of the doctor's office and I'd look at the receptionist. I said, well, by the way, is there like a grocery store nearby? I was like, because you
yes.
don't know, right? You're driving down the street. Your main objective is to get to the doctor or the dentist, right? You're not looking at everything else. And so you might have driven past something, you don't know it. So I would often ask those people, like, excuse me, I've just moved. Could you help me? And usually people are quite like, they don't mind.
They don't mind. They're great. Although here's a funny story. When I first moved here, I moved here to be with my husband. And he is one of those guys who never likes to take the same, way twice.
How
So it
confusing.
took me years to figure out this city because when I was with him, he would always take a different route. And it was
How are you doing
perpetually
this?
lost. It didn't matter where we went.
Yeah.
He would take this way and then he would go that way and then all of a sudden we'd end up at this place that I recognized, but I couldn't recognize how to get there. So anyway, as an aside, if you're like me, who kind of needs to stick and stay, at least till I'm oriented.
This is it, right? The
So
physical
making sure your
orientation.
partner doesn't do that. That was frustrating.
It is. And what, it's funny you say those little stories. It's true. I remember when we moved to Brazil, right? We moved to São Paulo, huge city, millions of people. We landed at night. Okay. So we were living there. Twice we invited out for the weekend to somebody's house, to like a cottage. And twice when we left in the dark. We came back in the dark. And you know what, Patricia? I got really freaked out about this after all, because I'm like, I have no idea what the countryside around this city looks like.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I was living in this sort of bubble,
Hmm.
because my family's like, what's it like outside? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, the
Yeah.
city's got millions of people, there's buildings everywhere, but the countryside, I haven't. Like I didn't know that transition from where we live to where we would go. Do you know, I know, does that sound weird? And it
Yeah.
just really kind of, and the third time when we left, I'm like, I was saying to Eric, I'm like, we've got to leave in the day. Like, I need to see what's beyond the walls of the city because this is really freaking me out. It
So
was
that's
so
tip
weird.
number two. Become
Yes,
a tourist in your new city so you can start to see what it has to offer,
definitely.
what's going on. So, start with your basics, get yourself established, and then
Yeah,
become a tourist and get excited. I think that's important. Get
I think
excited
so.
about your new place. We all move for different reasons, and
Yeah,
maybe we really struggled and didn't want to move, but we had to for work or something. But try and find something that gets you excited to be
where
in.
you are.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's like, I think, especially when we moved here, people are like, oh, Ottawa's a very quiet town. I'm like, well, that's kind of one of the reasons we chose it, but it isn't that quiet. Do you know what I mean?
Once you
There's
get
little pockets, and if you dig, there's actually quite a bit to do here, right?
Mhm.
Lots of festivals, there are a lot of restaurants, but it's not obvious, right? It's not like in the bigger cities like Montreal and Toronto where you know where to go for specific things. I think because it is such a small city, these little hidden places are just that, right? They're hidden. So you get to know about it from a friend. And I think that is another point, right? Is to be, like you said, be curious, but also be open, right? If somebody asks you, and even if you don't want to do it sometimes, whereas at home you would have the luxury of just going, I don't want to do it because, right, what's the point? Here, you may not want to do it, but I think it's really important to go out and meet those people that live there to, get to know them because that's how you're going to form friendships and start to feel at home, right? If you always say no because you don't feel like it, because it can be tiring, right? When you move somewhere new, you need a lot of energy, right? To
Yeah.
integrate yourself, to understand the city, to locate your, as we were saying, to like be driving and know where you're going. It demands a lot of energy. And sometimes the last thing you want to do is go out again, right? And I
Yeah.
think go, you have to. You just have to push yourself out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. And it's just, I don't know why. It just seems like it's harder to make friends when you're older. So you really have to put yourself out there
Yeah.
because, I just heard something again just the other day, Susan, that, to be healthy as you grow older, like even at this age, like everything I look at, being
Social
social
connections. Yeah,
and having connections is always the top of keeping
it
yourself
is.
mentally healthy.
Yeah,
Like as you grow older, it's so important, but it's
yeah,
work. So, I've always found friends through the places that I've worked at.
yeah.
Um, Doing something. So when I first moved to Vancouver many years ago, when I was in my early 20s, and got myself organized, like everything that we just said, got the job, was starting to make friends. And then what? I was
This is
lonely.
it.
And
I have
so
no family. Yeah.
I had ended up taking ballroom and Latin dance and lessons. And I ended up, teaching and doing all sorts of stuff. That became a whole lifestyle for me. And I met so many people and I really created a big life for myself. So find a hobby, do
Find
something.
hobby. Or volunteer,
Oh, yes,
right?
yes, yes.
That's
Volunteer.
what I used to do. I used to volunteer. When we lived in the US, I volunteered in an association. I met a really good friend there. I'm still in contact with her now. So, I think it's you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You have to make some, like nobody's going to come knocking at your door saying, "You
Yes.
just moved here. Let's be friends." Nope.
Welcome to the neighborhood. It's a pie. I mean, that never happened with me either,
No,
but
me neither.
lovely neighbors, but that just didn't happen.
Never
Uh,
happened.
yeah,
Yeah, so I think people often get a little bit, especially if somebody hasn't moved a lot or hasn't moved and there's an opportunity there to move. I would say go for it, right? Try it. If you don't try, you'll never know. And even if you try and for whatever reasons it doesn't work out, it's okay. You did it, you tried it. Maybe it's not for you, but then other people may move and discover, wow, this is absolutely amazing. And I'm so glad I did it, but it is daunting, I have to admit, when you don't know where you're moving to and you don't you know, you have no support system, you have no network, it is scary, right? Let's face it.
It is very scary. And I agree with you, because I have moved, so many times, some of them didn't work.
Oh yeah.
And so then I moved somewhere else. And, now I'm married and we're very established here. So it's harder when when you're with somebody, especially if one is more established. But most of my moves were amazing opportunities.
Yeah.
And so I would always say, if you've got a chance, don't let
Right.
fear stop you. I'm not saying you have to do it, but don't let fear stop you, particularly in today's age where we can do things like,
Oh my gosh.
FaceTime, Zoom
Yeah.
links, you can go across and it's not that hard. Okay,
This is
I
it. You can
know, but you
FaceTime
can
your family. You can actually
go
see
see
them,
them. Yeah,
and I think that makes the distance not feel as big, right? Before, when you couldn't, I remember when we were abroad and you'd phone home, a telephone lines were super expensive, the connections weren't great. So you really did kind of feel quite isolated. Like you said, now with all this technology, I think it does make it easier, right?
makes
You're
it.
not so out of touch with your family. But I agree with you. I would say don't let fit and don't let other people get in your head,
Oh,
right?
yes, yes.
Because
Don't
if you
let
let other people get in your head, they're the ones making the choice, not you anymore, right?
Right. So I think that's just the moral of the story is that
Yeah.
there's ways to create a life and to get settled. Here's some tips on what we did that helped us get established and feel comfortable and feel at home. But
Yeah.
you know what? Your family's always going to be there and they're just a
Always.
FaceTime away. So the moral of the story, Susan, is don't let fear stop you.
No, don't let it hold you back and try it. Just say yes and go for it.
Absolutely. All right. I hope that helps anybody and happy traveling.
That's right. Well, we're staying, but yes.
Staying. They can travel. All right. Take care,
Bye.
everybody.